Love it. Welcome, everyone. This meeting will be held in accordance with California Government Code Section 54953, subdivision of the Ralph M. Brown Act, California Government Code Section 54950, Series Resolution 2022-123, and the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act. While this meeting will be physically open to the public, given the state of emergency regarding the threat of COVID-19, members of the public may also participate and comment via the application Zoom. Zoom information was posted on the agenda. Welcome everybody to today's City Council today, Monday, October 10th, 2022. I now call this meeting to order. Can I please get the roll call?
District 1, Councilmember Casey.
Here.
District 2, vacant. District 4, Councilmember Klein.
Here.
District 3, Vice Mayor Silvera.
Here.
Mayor Lopez.
Here. Everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Pastor Jim Gianosa will be doing the invocation.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for this city. Thank you for all those who are involved in caring for it and giving of themselves and sharing their time, their talents, and their wisdom. So, Father, as this council commences today to seek to do business on behalf of the citizens, you give them great wisdom, knowledge, even beyond their scope of understanding. Father, would you guide the agenda here, that it would be that which is best for the people of the city? Would you keep people's personal agendas to the side, and that everybody would come together in a manner that creates unity and one that strives for what's best for all people? And Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to live in a great place like this, and may it continue to be just that. So, Father, we thank you for this day, for all those involved. In your name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, one nation, God, indivisible, and justice.
There are no presentations. Moving on to citizens communication. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in the City Council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes. Resolution 2007-106 for expressions on non-agenda items. Matters under the jurisdiction of the City Council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the City Council from taking any action on any matters which is not on the posted agenda, unless it is deemed to be an emergency by the City Council. Citizens are entitled to address the City Council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. Anyone wishing to address the City Council must adhere to the rules of decorum. The rules of decorum are posted outside of the chamber's door. We'll now begin with in-person comments. We do have 2 yellow cards, and following these cards, we'll ask if anybody from the public would like to speak as well. First name I have is Cynthia Ruiz. Cynthia, please step up. Buenos dias. Thank you for coming.
Good afternoon to everyone, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month.
Thank you.
I come before you as a Ceres resident, and I'm also a business owner in the South Modesto area, where it's also really close annexed to Ceres. And I would like to speak about the issue that we have had with El Rematito closing down part of their parking lot. Last week, I attended also a meeting here with the Planning Commission Department, and we had over probably 300 vendors, neighbors that have been affected by the closure of the parking lot. So I was hoping that you, the council members, would bring this matter up to the Planning Department to work in good faith to allow that parking area to be opened, being that the owner of El Rematito has suffered major health issues because of the problem, being that it's really put dilemmas in the vendors. They've lost a lot of sales. The customers don't go as often because there's not enough area to park. It's very dangerous to park across the street and cross the street and possibly have an accident. So as a business owner, I do taxes, and a lot of the vendors that prepare taxes with me have shared on their last quarterly taxes that their sales have decreased so much because of the closure of the parking lot. So I thought I'd bring that up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ruiz. Appreciate it. The next comment we have here on our yellow card is Rosalinda Vieira. Please step up.
Hi, Rosalinda Vieira. I just wanted to follow up with Cynthia. El Ramatito's been here for many years. I've gone through a lot of the planning commission meetings, even back when they were part of the county, when they were annexed, where the dirt parking lot was still allowed under this CUP as long as they weren't being charged. My understanding from just kind of being in conversations with Nelson, the owner, and as well as some of the conversations John Osgood has had with Alex, it sounds like we're getting two different sides of the story. So the stories aren't matching up, and I'm just asking the city council maybe with due diligence and have some processing that maybe we can kind of get on the same page with these discussions, because I'm hearing, yes, they can use a water truck and get the dust down, but then they're saying, no, we can't. And I'm hearing different stories. And just driving this weekend down Mitchell Road, out by the church, there's an empty parking lot again. Tons of dirt went into the road. It was hard to see. Visibility was cut down. I have pictures if you really wanted to see them, which I'm sure you guys know we haven't had rain in a really long time, so the dust is everywhere. So it's not something we can control. It's throughout the city. And so I'm just here to kind of just encourage a little more conversations, because again, the conversations seem to be very different and on different pages. So I just like to make sure that the conversations are kind of on the same page, and that what one side is telling is really what the other side is hearing, because from my understanding, that's kind of where we're at right now. We're hearing two different stories from both sides. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalinda. Appreciate that.
May I ask you a question?
Oh, you absolutely may.
The property in question, does El Ramatito own the property in question of the parking lot? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Additional yellow card. Okay, so Rosie Quintina? Quintana? Perdóname, I'm sorry
No,
about
no,
that.
no, it's okay. No worries.
Appreciate
So my
that.
name's Rosie Quintana, and I'm here on behalf of SMBU. I'm a administrative assistant, and I'm here to advocate for El Ramatito parking lot. I was here last meeting, and I realized the impact that the parking lot has caused for the community. And I'm here to support and to continue making an appearance when necessary to see if that's an issue that we can take care of as soon as possible, just because I realize the amount of people that have been impacted due to the closure of the parking lot. So I just wanted to bring it to the city and hope that it's a matter that can be discussed and taken care of, and that the measures necessary are taking sooner than later. I know there was an extension for a 12-month period, but 12 months seems quite long for the amount of people that have been impacted due to the parking lot closure. So I'm here to advocate, and hopefully the city can take this into consideration and really focus and come to a solution for the Ramatito parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. I have a question, Nubia. Is the parking lot in question, is that a part of the conditional use permit as it stands today?
It is not, Mayor. It's outside the scope of
Scope.
the CUP area for the project.
Okay.
And staff is in communications with the owner and their attorney, and a typical process would entail the property owner to apply for some type of change. And that is in the works right now, from what I understand.
Okay, so that those discussions are being had at the, correct? So, okay, so without getting involved, the conversation is being had with Ramatito. Is there any possible way that we can possibly open that parking lot with specific conditions, or is that something that the planning commission needs to adhere before we, as a council, even discuss that?
It's not before the council tonight, and it
Is not correct. This is not an emergency, correct?
correct. So there's more
Just a
information.
question.
Right. It would have to come back to the city staff as part of an application to consider that to be part of the project. Typical process and Community Development Director can speak to that better than I can, but it would have to go to the Planning Commission for any type of change in that. But again, that lot, the parcel is outside the scope currently.
Currently, so there is a change that would be required regardless, even if it is or isn't in the conditional use permit.
If the property owner seeks to include that as part of their project, yes.
So that could easily be resolved before the conditional use permit is,
Before the 12 months,
Yeah.
it's inherent on the property owner to bring something to the city
okay,
in terms
Um,
of an application.
sounds
But
good. Just for the record, I support that the parking lot be open. But not without the discussion between the city and the owner, so thank you very much. We have no more yellow cards. Do we have anybody else in the public that would like to speak?
Jeannie Akeley series. I brought this up, I think, at the last meeting. I think it was answered, but every day something seems to change in the state. Again, Sacramento is going to a one-day water system from what the news media says. And the fines are going to start at 100 and go up quite substantially if you're abusing more than that one day. And Ceres has their own water issues and how they use water. Are there any guidelines from the state telling us what we have to do recently? And the next question is, about a week ago, there was Stanislaus County, what do you call it? Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. They were right in here. They had some of the candidates. Rosalinda was there. And what's your name? I can't remember. Oh, what's that? With the guy with the friendship, Mr. Casey. And I just briefly came in. I was eating lunch at the senior room back there and I came in. But are we going to have some kind of candidate thing? Mike, you were involved in one of those once when I was running against Linda Rhino. They had the different candidates there. They didn't have to show up, but they did answer questions and stuff. And I was just kind of wondering for our particular city, not the Chamber of Commerce, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, but for Ceres, are there going to be a time before the election that they're going to be able to have a question and answer session for the candidates?
Okay, Nubia, could you answer those two questions? The first one was about water, whether we've been asked by the state if there's any regulations. Is that correct? If there's any regulations by the state been coming down forward to the city of Ceres in regards to water? Is that correct? Is that your first question? Do you want to clarify what your first question was? Yeah. I'm sorry, I was going to ask her to answer the question, but I wanted to make sure that the first question was correct.
Recently on the news, within a couple of nights, Sacramento stated that they're going to a one-day water system for the city. I don't know if they mentioned that as broad
Oh, I guess.
county or what. And is Ceres or counties down this way, are they involved with what Sacramento's doing? They do have a bigger population though, so I just kind of wondering about that.
I
Thank you.
don't think that that's the case here.
Well, if I may,
Go ahead, Mr. Khan.
on public hearing item number 10, it's approving a 2020 water shortage contingency plan amendment. So it's on tonight's agenda as far as a water shortage plan. If I read this right, item number 10. So there, the city is going to address the situation within the state.
Yeah, so it hasn't came down yet, but we'll have it on the agenda. And that second question, Nubia, if you could answer that second question in regards to the candidate forums.
We should check with the city manager. I don't believe that there's any public forum scheduled, and typically that's not something the city would do.
We don't have a forum scheduled at this point,
Right.
Mayor.
Usually the Chamber of Commerce
They do.
usually puts the forum together. I know in past practices, it's always been the chamber. So I don't know why the chamber didn't get involved this year, but they've always had one in the past.
Typically, those are considered campaign-related events, and as such, the city wouldn't get involved in that type of structuring, that type of meeting or town hall. And then alternatively, it was the meeting and as a campaign-related item, so no.
Oh, no, okay. The, Mr. Yeakley, is that a follow-up question? Go ahead, step up to the mic. You have 32 seconds left.
Yeah, you can go on. Are you saying that there's a campaign issue and it can't be done? Because they've done it in the past. I don't know what the issue is now, but evidently it seems like we can't do it, period.
No, I think what the city attorney was saying that the city part, city manager, city part doesn't get involved in those things. The Chamber of Commerce is usually the ones that get those things started. And they have the candidate forum, which they've had here at the community center every election for the last probably 5 or 6 years, 5 or 6 elections. They had it for the county supervisor. I don't know why they did not get one put together for this year. That is something you'd have to probably bring up with the chamber.
There was a
So-
quick follow-up to that as well. I just remembered. The city did host a candidate orientation for candidates in September, I believe. And so as far as it goes in terms of just giving them more information as a candidate about the way the city runs, that did happen. But in terms of sponsoring a candidate forum, that is typically not what a city does. City can open up space just for any other type of event potentially, but it has to stay neutral in terms of campaigning or election related items.
And just an FYI, there was not one in the last election because of COVID.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yeakley. Your time is up.
Can we do this though?
Do-
If the Chamber of Commerce gets a hold of the city manager, can we do this?
That's a Chamber of Commerce question. You can most
Mi-
definitely reach out
Miss-
to them.
Mr. Mayor, I'll offer that I'll reach out to the chamber to see if there's an interest in the chamber
Sounds good to me.
sponsoring one.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I can
Thank you.
certainly do that.
Thank you, Mr. Yeakley. Appreciate that.
The mayor,
Yes, sir.
there was one sponsored by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, he had mentioned that. That's correct. And then also the Modesto B also did a candidate forum as well, which I believe you were on. All right, sounds good. Is there anybody else in the council chambers who would like to come up and speak? Seeing none, I see one hand raised on Zoom.
Ramon Rodriguez, your mic is unmuted.
Welcome, Mr. Rodriguez.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I'm from Mount Ventura, California. And I'm in support of Matito because of the first time I went and to go to park in the parking lot, it was closed. And I thought the owner was I had other theories until a few weeks later, and I learned that this was a city matter that's going on. I've did research and I always go to down on Cross Landing every Sunday. And what I observe a lot is that there's now fewer vendors, but the traffic was horrible because the third parking lot was closed, and that affected vendors' livelihood. That affected the flea market's numbers of customers coming in. And also when that free parking is closed, I had to park my car to the shopping center near on Whitmore and Cross Landing and had to walk there. And I see lines of cars all the way down on Cross Landing and Whitmore and everywhere. And it's not fun. I mean, if you wanted if you want to come on Sunday to see what I'm saying, just come down and observe the traffic. It's outrageous. It's crazy. It goes all the way down over a mile down across Landing because people are trying to go to the flea market, and then people are trying to find parking. And if they wait too long or they just stuck there, they just give up and go home for the day because they couldn't get in. Plus the paved parking, there's so many cars there. It's just not good. So I hope that the council, city council, the planning commission, and the and Rematito will come in good terms to get the dirt parking lot open as soon as possible, because I mean, there's a lot of consequences. There's going to be an accident because of the traffic. More and more vendors are not going to come down to the flea market anymore because of the dirt parking lot closed. And then they're going to lose a lot of customers. So I hope that you could do the right thing and get it back to open so that people come back and see it back to the way it was. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Is there anybody else on Zoom? There's one more hand I just saw just
Yep.
now. Well, it came and went.
It went down.
Oh, no,
There's no more. There we go.
there it is.
Janine, your mic is unmuted.
Maybe that was a mistake. Deneen, do you wish to speak? Going once. Move on. Do we have any emails?
We did receive an email that was requested to be read into the record. It was received by Ceres resident John Warren. And it states, since August 24th, I have sent information regarding the snow cone shaved ice business operating as a drive-through in violation of their use permit 3 times, twice with pictures of vehicles at the drive-up window, no response. I had some concerns regarding the flea market operating on Crow's Landing Road and was unable to attend the planning commission meeting, so I contacted Mr. Martinez regarding the issues. I don't think he raised my concerns as I reviewed the information presented in the Courier newspaper. He was the one who motioned for 12 months rather than the suggested 6-month period. Even thought our planning department feels the applicant of the El Ramatito is working with the city, I believe their actions are otherwise. My information is they are required to pay the city $1 per day per vendor instead of requiring a business license. With over 500 spaces rented Thursday through Sunday each week, 52 weeks per year, that's a lot of money each year, not counting the required sales tax. 500 times $4 equals $2,000 per week, times 52 equals $104,000 per year, times the last 12 years they have been in the city limits equals a possible $1,248,000. Each vendor who rents a booth, I think the average is $30 per day, is required to obtain a seller's permit from the state and collect sales tax, even though they may not return to the marketplace regularly. My information is the sales tax is not being collected as required and reported to our city finance department as required. A very large part of our city budget is based on sales tax. As part of this use permit, it states at number 4, the applicant shall comply with all Ceres municipal codes. One of the most recent CMC changes only allowed 10 food trucks, not food trailers, to operate at certain locations within the city limits. Our own city staff is allowing this business to operate in violation of the city codes with 20 food trucks at the flea market Monday through Thursday, with the possibility of 30 trucks after 180 days. Our city has 10 food trailers operating now, which are in violation of the CMC. The city code clearly states they must be trucks, not trailers. Trailers are towed around by trucks. I have brought this to the city's attention previously with no action to correct the matter. I see a possibility of a large lawsuit being filed against the city for unfair business practices. The flea market should not be allowed to operate a food truck cart with 20 to 30 vendors. The business is not paying its fees to the city as required, and the vendors are not collecting sales tax as required by state law. This demonstrates they are not willing to work with the city. This business generates gross profits of several $millions per year and should be required to pay their fair share. I suggest that the city attorney draft a letter notifying this business they cannot operate until they come into compliance and pay all back fees due to the city of Ceres. They should not be allowed to operate another day, let alone 12 more months, as monitored by Mr. Martinez of the Planning Commission and voted on by the 4 members present. As a thought, the CC was not able to balance our budget and were $1 million short, so used ARRP funds this year and are looking for that $1 million going forward each year in the future. I feel the city just collected all fees owed and enforce all of its codes and laws, such as business licenses, the city would be solvent. John Warren, Series Resident, District 1.
Thank you very much. Just for the record, this email is just an opinion and not based on facts. Do we have any more emails or phone calls?
No.
Okay. We'll now close public comment. Moving on. Is there any conflict of interest from any council members? Seeing none. Moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendations of staff will be enacted upon one roll call vote. Is there anyone on the council that would like to pull an item for discussion? Is there any members of the public that would like to pull an item for discussion? Anybody on Zoom? Seeing none.
I'll move to adopt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5A, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez,
Yes.
passes 4-0.
That is a record, by the way. Congratulations. Okay, moving on to public hearing. Resolution number 2022-133, approving the 2020 water shortage contingency plan amendment. Karen Moria, welcome.
Thank you.
She is our public works superintendent, by the way.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. What I have for you tonight is an amendment to the water shortage contingency plan. In 2021, we passed both the urban water management plan and the water shortage contingency plan. And a new regulation was adopted to do the water supply and demand assessment. But the guidelines were not out for this yet. So we were assuming, and many other cities were assuming, that this was going to be a large report, which did not turn out to be that way. It is just a data upload, so it's pretty simple. So by amending the water shortage contingency plan, we will no longer need to bring the water shortage contingency plan or the water demand and assessment to council, making it more streamlined and easy for everyone. So that's what's here today. And I have Asia from Blackwater Engineering who can answer any specific questions.
Do we have any questions from council? I have a question to Nubia. Whether we decide to just let it streamline, is it important for the city council to see this, or is this going to be much easier for them to just amend it and streamline it and then have public works deal with it?
The city council can direct staff to bring back periodic reports, even with under a streamline scenario.
And under a streamlined, just basic reports, just to make sure we're all informed, whether it's email or in public.
And that information can be provided to the public, so the council can provide that direction.
Okay. No, it was just a question. I'm not sure if the council would like to move in that direction. It was just merely a question.
Mayor,
Yes.
these reports will still be brought to you all just at once rather than at different times. So you'll still get the
Okay.
urban water management plan, the water shortage contingency plan, and if you're interested in the data from the water demand and assessment, that can be provided as well.
Oh, no, perfect. I appreciate that. Any other questions from the council? Okay, the public hearing is now open. Is there anybody in the chambers or attending on Zoom that would like to make a comment on this item? I see one hand raised. I think it's the same person who raised their hand earlier but did not respond.
Deneen, your mic is unmuted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. Yes, I have a question. What are the changes you want to make regarding the water?
Can
issue
you hold
you're
on one
talking
second? Is there any way
about?
we can turn her up a little bit? Sorry, your volume is really low. If we can't do it, is there any way you can?
Deneen, can you turn the volume up on your end?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. What are the changes you want to do? You want to make on the water issue? Can you?
I'm not too sure if it's a change. I think it's more of an amendment just to basically
Oh,
go ahead.
add
None
more
of the
stuff?
data has been changed, it's just the reporting requirements.
Reporting requirements.
Reporting requirements.
Yes.
Can you give me an example? Like, what do you mean reporting?
Rather than doing a presentation for the water shortage contingency plan along with a 60-day notice and a public notice, we can simply adopt it with the urban water management plan and submit the water demand and assessment as we would any other data that we submit to the water portal.
Oh. Okay, thank you.
We have somebody from Blackwater who wants to clarify.
So, the urban water management plan and the water shortage contingency plan will come before you every 5 years. The city's evaluating the, water supply and demands and required to reduce water usage, every 5 years by a certain percentage, and the city's accomplished that, beyond the required reduction. So we noted that in the last, public hearing. This document is only being changed for the annual water supply assessment report, which is uploading to the state an annual report each year. So in addition to the every 5 years report that'll come before you in public hearing, every year the data is going to be uploaded, I think, to the website as well as to the state WUE data website, which is part of California Department of Water Resources. So all the information is always available to the public.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Asia?
Could you please come back to the microphone and just introduce, I think we didn't hear what your name was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Asia Verberg at Blackwater Consulting Engineers. We assisted the city in developing the urban water management plan, the water shortage contingency plan, and assisted with the annual assessment.
Thank you very much. We'll make sure you're covered, Mike. Okay, sounds good. If there's no more public comment, I will now close the public hearing and bring this back to council. Is there any questions from the council? No?
Move to approve resolution 2022-133.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez,
Yes.
passes 4-0.
Okay, moving on to, there is no new business. No, is there any, no, there's no discussion items. Is there any council referrals?
I have no referral, but I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
New mics sound pretty good. But is there any way that we can get speakers from the audience or whatever to face this way? It is very difficult to hear anybody at that mic.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just me. You know,
So part of the upgrades that were brought to you 2 weeks ago did include speakers that are devoted just to the council
That's correct.
dais. So you should have much better. It'll be a lot easier for you to hear up there.
I thought that was part of the thing. So
It is. So the mics came in, we ordered those a while back. And so we're now placing the order for all of the other pieces of equipment needed for the upgrades. We needed everything to pass through council before we could place the order.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, seeing no more council referrals or questions. Moving on to reports. I have no reports. Council members, any reports?
Couple things, the mayor and I met with the schools in our regular 2x2x2 meeting. And it's fascinating to see and hear all of the wonderful things that Sirius Unified is doing with mainly facilities. Almost every school has got some modernization going on, new performing arts center at Central Valley, pool and future stadium. So it's really great that we have a wonderful relationship with the schools. And to answer questions that will probably come up when those facilities are built and opened, they will have a pecking order of who gets to rent them and who gets to use them. And the city will be just behind the schools for availability for those. So that's an exciting thing for Sirius. The other thing I have, the mayor and I also represent the city on the SRWA water project, and that project's moving along great. We're in the talks right now about hiring the staff that's good to run and manage it. It's been a fantastic project that's below budget and ahead of time. So if anybody has any questions, feel free at any point to contact. I'm sure the mayor or I regarding SRWA. That's just a couple comments from meetings we've attended recently. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Appreciate that. Nothing? Mr. Casey, go ahead.
Sure. First off, a reminder of the Out of Darkness walk that we had presented to us a couple of sessions ago, Walk to Fight Suicide. It's going to be a community walk at the Crusader Park in Modesto on Saturday, October the 22nd. There's information on our agenda previously, and you can find more information about the project at the AFSP.org. Modesto gives you a complete breakdown. Also, Mr. Mayor and council members, I'd like to address the citizens' concerns about the parking lot. At our last planning commission, city, first of all, I'd like to report my knowledge that the marketplace and the city are working together, cooperating to resolve the issues that are at hand. The city, recommended six months. Planning Commissioner Martinez made a motion that was approved by all candidates to extend it to 12 months, which kind of doesn't make a lot of sense because there's a problem, we need to fix it. But at any rate, he did that and it was approved. And then shortly after that, on the social media stuff that I'm not really familiar with, it posted that the owners of the marketplace are endorsing Planning Commissioner Martinez candidacy in District 4. The District 4 people can take that and do whatever they want with it. But I think it's very inappropriate that that's took place. And of course, I don't know all the details. Maybe it's just a handshake of endorsement. But I think it sends the wrong message to the citizens of Ceres. A planning commissioner can make a motion, obviously, or at least on the surface, doing a sort of a favor for a business person, and then turn around in the same week be endorsed by that person. So if it's appropriate or how it can be handled, I would move that Commissioner Martinez be removed from the Planning Commission. I'm not sure how that can happen. As most of you know, I've only been on this council just a little over 12 months. What most of you probably don't know is that within the first week that I was on the council, I was approached by people about the issue. And the city, again, I believe, has been working very diligently with property owners, and the property owners have been cooperating as much as they can. So, the issue will be resolved, and it'll be resolved properly. But in the meanwhile, we have this commissioner that, again, just on the surface, appeared to make a recommendation, and it just doesn't look, from my side of the street, it doesn't look proper. And again, I don't know the proper way to have him removed from the commission, but I would recommend. That's my report.
And we will take your recommendation. I just think your comments are kind of ridiculous, council member. But I would extend an invitation for you to come down to the flea market and really see how much the flea market has done for this community. And I really don't want to get into an argument about that. You know that I feel that you're incorrect. Mr. Martinez is an independent person and he can choose to make those decisions because that is what he is supposed to do as a commissioner. So those are my comments.
Mr. Mayor, I think that one thing that we as Americans can be very proud of, that we're a country of law and order. And so take that for what
As
it's
if there's
worth.
no law and order. Okay.
Mayor, so just a point of clarification, since this is a report section, no action can be taken, but the matter's been referred to staff and I'll coordinate with the city manager to look into that.
That's correct. Is that you, Mike?
Yeah, that's me. So newbie. So the matter's been referred to staff because my comment was, instead of, going through the process, I think we need to find out the first thing, because I know on a planning commission and I believe on the city council, you take an ethics test. And so it runs into a thing to me of Mr. Casey brings it up, Councilmember Casey. So it brings up to me is an ethics thing. Because I know that if I read the ethics things right, if you take a donation from a constituent, you basically ethics wise or should refrain from voting or taking any kind of action for a certain period of time. Is that correct?
There are certain provisions, the Councilmember Klein's referring to the Political Reform Act and Conflict of Interest laws. So this is just informational only, a quick overview. There are requirements that apply to elected and appointed officials, some designated city staff. So there are those provisions. Yes, there are. The council in and of itself is not the arbiter of whether that's been violated or not. That's something that's usually referred to the FPPC. But again, like I said, we'll work with staff to look further into if anything can be done or needs to be done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Appreciate that. Is there any other comments or questions? Moving on, city manager, do you have any comments? Updates?
Just a couple this evening, council and mayor. The ballot drop box has been delivered to City Hall. So folks looking for a place to deliver their ballots can come to City Hall and drop those off. That ballot box is in the main lobby and accessible 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. Secondly, the city has created a new Facebook page, City of Ceres City Hall. We'll be posting information about general information about the city. So take a look and follow us on Facebook. We are excited to say that we will be having a grand opening of the Lower River Bluff area on Friday, November 4th at 10 a.m. So very excited to be opening that new park area again, Friday, November 4th at 10 a.m. That's all I have tonight, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thank you very much. Any other departments? Kevin?
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor Silvera, council members. I'd like to just tell the public that I really appreciated the attendance at the Ochoa Park workshop that we had on Saturday at 9 a.m. in the morning. There was about 50 people that participated. I also want to thank everybody that's taken the survey online. We have about 65 people that have responded, and we'd love to have more. In fact, we have another workshop scheduled on Wednesday at 5 to 7 at the Ochoa Park facility, and we will be presenting again the design and looking for public input. There is also a survey online that you can actually reach through the city's website, as well as the recreation Facebook page. Finally, I'd like to just let everybody know that the ATP pathway survey is a grant application that we're trying to get that will allow connectivity from downtown to the River Bluff Park, including Lower Park. And really we'd like some participation before the 15th. We have a deadline for the application on November 18th, and we need the time to process. That there is one last cautionary note that Morgan Road improvement are going to be paving tomorrow, and that I'd like to have everybody take special caution when they drive through that area, realizing that there will be a lot of workers on that road and want to keep traffic safety at the top of mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. Anybody else? No? Okay. We will now adjourn this meeting and go to a closed session for a conference regarding existing litigation and anticipation litigation. If there's anyone from the public that would like to speak in regards to the closed session, seeing none, after the closed session, we will return to report out. Thank you. We have no direction. Thank you.